And
Yes.
that's excellent.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Welcome. Ellen, we're doing today with Central Coast what I did with us at our meeting. At our meeting. My captions, there you go. We have like 17 people. There we go. We have 17 people registered. So I wanted to wait a little while. So, Norma, do you guys live in San Luis?
We live in Oceanside.
Oh. So you're not a part of the Central Coast chapter?
Well, we come down to where
San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego for the meetings.
Good. Good.
Al has, since we last went to a meeting, Al has gotten a cochlear implant.
Ooh, exciting.
So it's been very exciting, and we do a lot of homework every day.
Are you hearing a whole lot better? Al, are you hearing a lot better?
I have no problem with volume. It's just distinguishing some of the words. I'm
Tony
actually having
has a cochlear implant. She's had one for quite a while. Good morning.
He got his, I think, June 8th, so it's not a very long time that he's had it. So
you're still adjusting.
Yes.
In a way, the safer at home rules are good for your adjusting. You're not being bombarded with a lot of different sounds right now, so your brain can adjust. Tony, I don't know who just came in.
It's somebody from the San Diego area.
I didn't. Did you let them in?
Hello, this is
Yes.
Robert Blanchard.
It's Robert.
You probably can't hear me.
Oh, okay. Are you on the phone?
Yeah, I'm on the phone because your Zoom meeting, the web version, does not work, and I'm not allowed to use the application on any of my devices. So the only way I can join a Zoom meeting is through the web browser, but the web browser will not let me join.
Really?
Yeah, this has happened before.
Alan, have you run into that? You're muted.
Okay, person on the phone, what is your name?
It's Robert Blanchard.
Okay.
But just to be clear, my IT policy is such that the Zoom application cannot be downloaded on any of my devices. I can only use the web browser version of Zoom.
And this meeting wouldn't allow you to use the web browser?
Yeah, I've tried 3 times. And it keeps giving me a message that I have to be registered, but according to the emails, I'm registered.
I'll have to, first time I've run into that, I'm gonna.
No, this is the second time I've run into this.
And Zoom is always changing things, and it's like every time they do an update, we have to readjust. Check web browser access. It could be a setting that I need to change. It's good to know.
All right, I
Sorry
appreciate
you're
that.
having trouble with
Sorry
that.
for complaining.
Can you access the meeting through the ID and passcode?
Yes. And that's included with the invitation,
Correct.
in addition to the link.
Oh,
Well, the link just says that I have to be registered. It doesn't allow me to do anything. It says I have to download the application, which is contrary
Okay.
to my IT
Yeah.
policy. So
Okay, Robert, how did you get the join link without registering?
I registered.
Oh, you did?
And I joined through the registration email.
Okay.
I can try again.
No, well, no, I don't want to interfere with your participation. If this is good for you, I'm fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, the phone works for me. I just thought there might be something we want to see.
well, there really isn't. We have slides with questions on them, and we'll just say the questions, and you can participate that way.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and start. We have 10 of us here. All righty. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How many of you are actually from Central Coast chapter? Raise your hand if you're from Central. We don't have anybody from Central Coast chapter.
What is the Central Coast chapter?
They're in the San Luis Obispo, Santa Maria area.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's good to know. And so we're all new to each other. So can we just quickly introduce each other? Alan, can we start with you?
Hi, my name's Alan Katsura. I'm a member of the Diablo Valley chapter in the San Francisco East Bay area, and I'm a volunteer there.
He's our tech expert. Norma and Al, would you introduce yourselves?
You introduce it.
Yeah, I'm Al Walkna, and I live in Oceanside, but I'm in the San Diego chapter.
And I just come with him.
Michael?
Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Conley from San Diego, and you're wondering why and hello, Robert and Al. We don't see each other as much as we should. You're wondering why there are so many people from out of town. Char Sivertson posted this. She sent us all an email on Wednesday. And so just wanted to let you know why we found out about it. And I'm not even sure what's going to happen, but I'm kind of isolated. And so I just wanted to join the meeting and be part of whatever's going on and contribute if I can, or sit back and listen if I should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Join every meeting that you get an invitation to. That's perfect. Tony?
Yes. Hi. I'm in Laguna Woods, California, Mission Viejo chapter, and I'm also a board member of HLAA State California Association, and I'm the Southern California State Chapter Coordinator. That was a mouthful.
That was a lot. Robert Bettinger?
Hi, I'm Robert Blanchard. I'm in Escondido, a member of the San Diego chapter, and also attend meetings in North County in the Carlsbad area when they're held. But as everyone knows, we're not meeting face-to-face now. I have significant hearing loss, and I'm trying to learn more about how to cope with it and learning more about assisted listening devices.
Good. Our other Robert? Do you know how to unmute? If you hold down your space bar, it will also unmute you.
That's if you're on a PC or a Mac.
I
All
don't
right.
think it's on my
Have you
iPad.
got me
There
now?
he is. We've got you now.
I'm Robert Bettinger from the San Diego chapter, and missing meetings badly, and happy to be on today. I've listened to some of the National HLAA webinars and enjoyed those, and was at the recent meeting this week. I still have the biggest problem during this time is my hearing loss and masks, hearing through masks, and also have trouble with masks because they affect my angina, and trying to find the right mask that would work. So anyway, I'm looking forward to our time together today.
Good, good. Ellen?
I'm Ellen Mathis. I'm from the Long Beach Lakewood chapter. I'm sure Tony's responsible for the email I get announcing what's going on in California. So I say thank you very much because I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Kathy?
Hello, I'm Kathy Fairbanks, and I am on the steering committee for the leadership team for the East Bay chapter in Northern California. I live in Oakland, California, and I've been the co-editor for our newsletter for several years. I have hearing aids, which I dearly love. And I've worn them for about 6 years or so. And I'm interested in some of the same topics, particularly how to hear better with people wearing masks when they're talking. The speech is particularly a problem for me sometimes, although I have to say I have really good hearing aids and I can hear so much better when I have them on than when I don't have them on. Thank you for letting me join today. I have joined many of the hearing loss meetings in the past, and I found them extremely informative and inspiring.
Good.
Thank you.
We're glad you're with us. That's the great thing about being able to have these virtual meetings is we can be anywhere in California and connect with somebody who understands what we're going through. I'm glad you guys are all here. Oh, we have somebody new. I'm going to go ahead and start. I don't know who that is that just came through. Oh, Noni. Hi, Noni. How are you? You're the only one here from Central Coast. And you're muted still. There you go.
Do you want me to unmute? You don't want me to be muted?
You want to introduce yourself? We just finished introducing ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Tell us who you are.
I'm Noni Smyth, chapter leader for the Central Coast HLAA chapter for now.
It's interesting that Tony Barriant and I got involved with doing these meetings for Central Coast because the Central Coast chapter has been struggling even more so with the pandemic and the isolation. And the fact that Noni is the only one here from her chapter shows that this chapter is really, really struggling. So we're working on it. We don't know exactly what to do about it, but we'll get something figured out. In the meantime, virtual meetings where we can pull from anybody is going to help. Let me go ahead and get started. I'm having issues with my shared screen and my PowerPoint. So let's hope that I don't have any problems this morning. So welcome everybody. I do want you to know that Ann Thomas, who's very active in HLAA California, she put together this slideshow for her chapter a couple of weeks ago. And I used it with my Long Beach Lakewood chapter, and then we've just adapted it for us. So we're basically, here we go. So we know that we're all struggling with our face masks. We know that we just can't hear with our face masks. How many of you dread, you can kind of just raise your hand, how many of you dread going out of the house and trying to communicate with somebody? Yes.
You can raise your hand if it applies to you.
You know that according to the CDC regulations, people are authorized to lower their mask to talk to you so you can see their face. But I have run into, when I went into my bank a couple of weeks ago, the teller refused to lower her mask for me. I can write things down for you. I said, no, you can lower your mask so I can see your face. She wouldn't do it. And she kept looking over her shoulder to see if her supervisors were watching. It was frustrating. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to start off our discussion. Do you have an advocacy story that you've done during the Corona pandemic to share? Something you've done to, like when I went to the bank and I said, you could lower your mask, and she wouldn't do it. What have you done to advocate for yourself and your hearing loss during this situation? If you raise your hand, I can call on you. Michael, go ahead.
Well, I have done some things. I don't think they've been any more successful than anybody else's. So for a couple of examples, at CVS Pharmacy, wherever I go, I always carry paper and pen. And I always introduce myself when I start a conversation by saying I'm deaf and I read lips. And at least that helps the other person to know what they're dealing with. And so there's two stories that I tell. One at CVS, I asked them, because of what's going on, do you have a way that I can communicate with you via email? And he had to go ask the person behind the counter, and they were talking and everything. And then he comes back and he says, well, I can hook you up with the relay operator, and she can use ASL to interpret the conversation. And I said, that's not going to help a bit. I'm not fluent in ASL. And at that same meeting, that same encounter, I, could not understand what the pharmacist was saying. And she was trying to explain how the new medication I was taking might interact with other medications. And so we're going over and over and over. And I could see that any kind of confidentiality that I was having with the pharmacy was now gone, because everybody who was standing there could follow if they wanted to. So the one thing I would say is take paper and pen everywhere you go. Understand and acknowledge that people may not want to lower their mask. And if they don't want to do that, I'm willing to go along with that. But at least by having paper and pen, you show that you're willing to go the extra mile, and that puts them in the position of having to, respond to that. That's it.
I haven't gone to the pharmacy to pick up medicine, but that's a real problem, that confidentiality thing. Robert Bettinger?
I had an experience yesterday at the bank. I went in and told the teller that I was hard of hearing, etc. So when I said I wanted to withdraw some money, um, after she had cashed some checks for me. And she immediately opened my account and then put on paper what my balance was so that I could tell her. But we had a hard time communicating because I didn't realize it, but I went to the bank without my glasses on. So I couldn't see the little machines, and I couldn't see what was there, what I had to push. And so she said, push the green button, and I said, well, there are only 2 black buttons here. And so I had to look harder and figure out which one was the green one. And so between the difficulty seeing without my glasses and sometimes with my glasses and the hearing, it's very inconvenient. But yes, the teller did not remove her mask at all during this time. So that's something new I've learned. And Michael's recommendation to have a paper and pen ready is a good thing. And I did have it, I just didn't think about it. But going to order food in restaurants has similar problems. Some people are better about it than others. And some people are exceptionally helpful. But it's a struggle. And so for the most part, I try to avoid those things, and that's not good.
Thank you. Anyone else have a story to share?
I could say something about Zooms.
Okay.
I have a weekly Zoom, a couple of weekly Zooms that I participate in. One is with another individual, and one is with a group. So a discussion group, the men's discussion group that I belong to, has been meeting, and 10 or 15 people, and I've noticed that when different people speak from their home, of course we don't need to wear masks. It's often sometimes difficult to read lips because of the way people are sitting or how they're showing on the Zoom. And also, there's such a variation of the way people are talking. Sometimes you can't hear them because they're too far from their microphone. And sometimes the noise that's going on in their environment interferes. So lots of times, I'd say about 65% or more, I just don't understand. And it's easy for me to, until I catch some kind of a key word, to even know what's going on. So I'm frustrated by Zoom. I find it works better when I'm with one individual. And I don't want to get by without it, but I'd like to find some equipment that I might use that might help me, like a headset of certain type. So if anybody has ideas on that, please let me know.
Ellen?
I use Live Transcribe on my cell phone for all Zoom meetings. I'm actually even using it with the captions that Katie has, because PowerPoint, that's something you can pass on to people. That PowerPoint has automatic speech recognition in their show the
Settings.
screen or the presentation. And so I've been passing that on, and that has worked for those people who use a PowerPoint, and I use live transcript all the time. But I also want to give a restaurant suggestion. When I go in to order, because I can't understand anything, I will say what I want, like a number 11, exactly the way it is on the menu, except for add cucumbers. And then they're not going to ask me, do you want this, do you want that? And I don't have to answer them. That's caused my anxiety level to go down, if nothing else. I just pass that on.
Are you familiar with, indicate to me if you're familiar with Live Transcribe on your phone. Anybody know what that is? It's an app called Live Transcribe. And if you have an Android, you can actually take this with you anywhere. I don't know if I can focus. You can take this with you anywhere and it will caption the conversation. Now, if you have an iPhone, there are a couple of captioning apps that you can use. Can you kind of see what that's doing? So what I do, and what I know what Tony does is, and what Ellen was talking about, she has this sitting in front of her laptop, her screen, sitting like this. And whenever she's on Zoom, it's captioning what's happening. We can actually share that also we could use that as captioning for our meeting if I weren't doing a PowerPoint presentation. If you have an iPhone, you can use an app called Otter, O-T-T-E-R, and it will also caption a conversation between two people. It's, I don't like Otter as much because the print is very small. The nice thing about this is you can adjust the font size for whatever your vision difficulties might be. Alan, did you want to say something?
Yes, I have a couple of things. First of all, the captioning through PowerPoint is only available with certain versions of PowerPoint, most notably Office 365 and the new online versions of PowerPoint. Earlier versions do not have the ability to display captions. And the other thing I was thinking of, let's see. The public in general, I guess you could say, when you tell them of hearing loss, they immediately think of ASL, even though I think it's like between 1% and 3% of people with hearing loss actually communicate with ASL. And I live in a retirement community, and we have an organization called CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team. And since this is a retirement community, you probably have a pretty fair idea of the percentage of people that have hearing loss in it. And previously, when we had live meetings, the room had a loop in it, which is great. Now that they've gone to online meetings, I've been trying to get them to use PowerPoint as a method of captioning the meetings. And every time I try to bring this up, people say, "Oh, well, we don't have an ASL member or a person in the membership that knows ASL who could sign language." I keep telling them that we don't need it. then they tell them, well, we have to pre-plan enter all the captioning ahead of time. I go, no, this is, oh, well, then we have to have somebody type in the captioning. And it's been an ongoing thing for about 2 months now, trying to get them just to recognize the fact that there's this thing out there that would take all the work out of what you're trying to make so difficult. All it takes is a little click checkbox that says caption presentation.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating, I know. Anyone else with an advocacy story? I'm going to go on to question 2. Well, you know what, Al? Al, let me ask you, you just had a cochlear implant. Have you been outside in the world with your CI since you got it? And how do you handle telling people about it?
That's you.
Well, I haven't been out a lot because of the pandemic, so mainly going to appointments and to store a few times. My daughter is actually helping and doing a lot of the shopping, so that's helped. But yes, the times that I have gone, I've had trouble because people wearing masks. I have to figure out what the subject is sometimes, and I have them repeat a few times. So, but I think maybe I'm getting a little bit better as I practice listening to different sounds. So I know it's not perfect. I have a TV at home, and I have a device that I connect to wireless, and that works quite well. And so I've been adjusting my volume, trying to get it up to where it will normally be, and I don't know if I have anything else other than just keep trying to practice. And I'll take some of the suggestions people have made here too and use those, because I could have a translator. I have a translator program or a conversion program on my iPhone. So I could try using those when I go out.
Michael, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm listening to all of you, and my question is, with the mask, do you have a problem understanding people because you read lips and can't see their face? Or do you have a problem because somehow the mask inhibits the sound coming across? I've been deaf all my life, and I read lips. That's the only way I can communicate. I can hear, but I rely on reading lips, and I can't understand what's going on unless I can see somebody. But I know some of you have mentioned that your hearing loss is more recent, and I'm guessing you don't depend on reading lips. So my question is, if it isn't reading lips that the mask causes you problems with, what other things with the mask prevent you from understanding if it's not reading lips?
I think reading lips is what all of us do. Even if we have a mild hearing loss or just a moderate hearing loss, for me, reading lips fills in blanks. With my good hearing aids, I can hear, and for the most part, I understand. But if I don't see the face and I don't see the lips, I miss, it's like holding up a book and there's holes punched in the paper, and I miss so much that I really need to follow those lips going on. So I don't think it matters whether it's a recent loss or a long time loss. We all depend on reading those lips. And I heard recently somewhere that masks, they've done studies on the masks will cut down between 10 to 15 decibels of sound. So they muffle the sound, they cut down on the loudness, and they keep us from reading lips. So we get hit with a triple threat.
I'd like to say that I have normal hearing, and the masks, the sound is muffled with a lot of those for me as well. I think that masks are just creating a lot of difficulty in understanding, plus the facial expressions that you can't see when you're talking to someone.
Robert?
I have something that I'm going to try with my caregivers. I have them every day, and I have a terrible time when we're both wearing masks. So sometimes I do this when they're here, and I can talk more clearly, but I got another one of these yesterday, and I'm going to see if it will work with my caregivers to wear that and not wear a mask. And I don't know how much risk that adds, but I do have to stop and ask them to repeat, or else I have to just pretend I hear what they say when I really don't, and that's not very effective. So I'm going to try this tomorrow with when my caregiver comes, and see how that happens, if it really does help to read their lips through this, and if we feel comfortable enough about this not being really a mask, until we can get these masks that the National said they had to give away. I'm excited about this as a possibility of working.
Anybody else notice what happened as soon as he put that mask on?
Did you ask me a question?
No. Did anybody else? Did anybody notice what happened as soon as he put his mask on? His voice became muffled, and I found that I had to read almost everything he said on the captions, whereas before I could understand him perfectly, which just goes to show that even though that mask is great, it still impairs the sound that we get.
Sounds like it is even more so difficult. Thanks for that tip. I'm glad I experimented with it here.
I'm glad you did. When I went, Alan loves when I tell this story. My grandson said to me a while ago, "You're starting to look like a real grandma," which means my gray hair was getting too much. So that week, the hair salons opened up here in LA County. So I went in, and I was so anxious about it because I knew that I wouldn't be able to have a conversation with them. So I have a device that I have. It's a loop that goes around my neck with a little microphone, and it connects with my T-coils. And I took that in, and my woman hairdresser does my color, and then I have a male hairdresser who does my cut. So my woman hairdresser clipped the microphone on, and I had no trouble having conversations with her. And I realized I need to do this every time I go, even when the pandemic is over, because I wasn't working so hard to hear what she had to say. Well, then I went to the mail and I gave him the little microphone and he clipped it on. I struggled to hear him. My hearing loss is low tones. I have a reverse slope hearing loss. So my hearing loss is low tones, not as much in high tones. And I learned I've never been able to have an exact comparison of a woman's voice and a man's voice. I had to turn the volume up on this microphone to be able to understand him. It was eye-opening, and I loved that learning experience. Hi, Noni, we can see your face now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. I can't remember what it is, but I'm going to go on. Okay, what are you doing to stay positive or to stay sane or to stay connected during this time? What are you doing? Robert?
Well, I have when I can, I do go out for 2 walks a day, and one with my caregiver and one alone. And it's just a big help to see other people walking past me or that I know and I can say hi to and go on my way. Plus, the going out walking is terribly important for my physical health to keep that energy going. And so I find 2 times a day is terribly important to do. And when it's too hot, like right now, that's pretty hard to do. And so staying sane is also including doing things I used to do, but I have to do by myself, or I take out some old papers and remind me of some things I used to do. And I put on music, but I can catch myself when I'm beginning to neglect staying positive. So then I move into either doing some exercise on my exercise bike, or I get up and move around. I cannot stay at a computer for too long without having to get away from it for a break. And before we want to we close, I have a question about captions that I want to talk about.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Later. Yeah.
Can we come back to that?
Yes.
Okay, remind me. Noni, you just went on a trip, didn't you? Noni.
Yeah, we just went up camping. I didn't get my Cape Cod trip in. I was supposed to be gone this whole month. But because of the pandemic, I canceled that. And Glitter and I just went up we went twice actually, just locally to some mountains, but it was before the fire started.
Thank goodness.
So I was supposed to do a big trip, but that didn't come about because of the fires.
Do you feel more sane now?
Do I feel sane? No, I don't feel very sane. I just found out that my dog has cancer. So,
oh no.
Next week we'll be going down to get a CT scan and see what the oncologist says.
Sorry to hear that. Well, what I'm doing to stay sane, or it's driving me insane, is I'm supervising the distance learning for 2 of my grandsons.
Oh boy.
And I'm a retired teacher, so it's not that it's that hard, but it's definitely a different relationship. And the 2nd grader needs a lot of support. The 7th grader, not so much, but yeah, it's keeping me connected. Michael.
Sorry. You're talking about what people are doing to stay sane and especially to be connected to friends. I've been going through this for the last several months like everybody else, and I live alone, and all of my friends have partners or are married, or they're more active than I am. What I've decided to do with the advice of a friend, what I've been doing, I selected 5, 6, 7 people who know my situation. And I say, let's get together. And every other week or so, I have a friend who lives with his wife, and we sit in the backyard for an hour and a half on Monday mornings, and we just talk. And that's every other week. Then I have this other woman friend who lives near a restaurant where we used to go, and every other week or so on a Wednesday. And so it turns out that every week I have about 3 or 4 activities that I can look forward to. And that has made a big difference for me.
Good. Anybody else?
We could talk about camping. You could talk about going camping and the kids coming over.
Al, tell us your story. What are you doing to stay connected?
It's you.
Yeah, well, we did go camping. I can't remember what month that was, but it was during the pandemic, and we just made sure that we all wore masks and that we really kept our distance from other people. So it was very nice to get out, and then fortunately I have 2 daughters in this area, and then like 5 grandkids and 1 great granddaughter. So I get to see them occasionally, and
Outside.
yeah, we try to keep things outside if we can. We have a pool, and they love that. So lately, though, the weather hasn't cooperated too much. It's been so darn hot. And we do some walking. But again, the weather's been bothering us there, so we haven't been doing as much as we used to.
Well, good. It's good that you have family close by. I'm going to go to the next slide. Have you discovered anything positive? Any hidden benefits during shelter in place?
This is Robert Nescondito. Yes, I have some things to say about that one.
Go ahead.
Well, I've been working from home since about March 20th. And I came to the realization that my commuting time was gone. And I actually had more time on my hands to do things for not only myself, but my family. So my wife and I started doing things and writing down little lists of things to do and accomplish every day. And as we've been working through it, we've been getting a lot of things done around here. And it's been very helpful for us to work that way and do things for ourselves and our families, because it's keeping a positive mental attitude. And we've been able to accomplish a lot. one of the things that we found positive about this is when my daughter graduated from medical school, we actually had the time to go to a mutual location and meet up with her and watch her online graduation. And we were able to do, you know, the proper things you're supposed to do when you meet with your relatives and stuff. And it was a good experience. But I think the main thing is that we took advantage of the time that we found that we had, and we made use of it in a positive way. And I've been learning how to play guitar better. I've been doing a lot of other little things that have actually benefited me. So I found a lot of positives in this. Okay. And the other thing that's been positive is I'm still able to interact, even though it's remotely, with people and organizations that I'm a member of. So I think having more time has been quite a benefit. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. That's really cool. Anybody else? Michael?
Yeah, okay. I hate to say anything good has come out of this because it really has been terrible. I lost my job. I'm sure other people have lost their job. And a lot of negative things. The one positive thing, and I think it's interesting you posed a question because I hadn't even thought of it this way. But the one positive thing is these virtual meetings have opened up a lot of ways for me to stay in touch with people that I didn't even realize were there. And I think, you know, the kind of informal historian in me thinks that we're going to look back on this time and say that these virtual meetings have changed the way we interact with people. I wouldn't know any of you good folks except that this is possible. I'm interacting more with my writers group than I used to because we're meeting online. So that's one positive thing that's come out of it. It doesn't quite overcome all the negative things, but I think it's a good idea to look at those positives. So I'm glad you posed a question that way.
You mentioned your writers group, and somebody mentioned something to me the other day about one good thing about the groups that we belong to, meeting online, is that you can see everybody's face. So our communication skills are better because we can see everybody's face. We're not listening to see, well, who's talking behind me? Are you talking too softly? And then there's captions all the time. So I agree with you, Michael. I think that the pandemic has been very, very good for getting people comfortable with being online and being able, for those of us who are normally isolated because of our hearing loss, we are able to be less isolated. And I think that's only a benefit. I think so. Anybody else? Anything good come out of it?
I just like that. Oh. No,
go ahead.
Me? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading. For me, having the time to go through and purge things has been a real asset. I found a long time ago that my children don't want any of my stuff, and I've been hanging on to it thinking that they did. So about once a week I make a trip to Goodwill or some other agency that needs things. And recently the group of camping women that I belong to, Sisters on the Fly, set up a homeless woman in her own apartment, and we found her a bed, and we found her bedding and towels. She has a 7-year-old daughter that she lives with. So that made me feel good to be able to contribute to that in some way. But my girlfriend said, I want to make you a table covering. She's learning how to quilt. And I said, you know what, I would really rather just have lunch with you than have another thing. And she couldn't understand that. But when somebody makes something for you and gives it to you, it has that sentimental value that you can't just take it to Goodwill then, you know, I mean, that's, so I struggled with trying to get this across to her, but I think I finally did.
Anyone else share a positive thing? I can't remember my next slide.
One of the things,
Yes, Robert.
one of the things I found out was that my body changed in the way that was good. I wasn't out and about doing so much and being responsible for some of the things I used to do in my advocacy. And I found that I was able to be more content in the silence and in the quietness in a different way, and that I'm sleeping better. Of course, I keep eating especially well with organic foods and good balance of fruit, vegetables. And so all of that pays off. So it is easy for me to see myself appreciate being more relaxed and loving it.
Anyone else? You see my next slide. Has anybody gone to any of the HLAA virtual meetings? Did you go to the one last Saturday?
No.
Michael, did you go to some of them?
Yeah, Charles Sivitson in San Diego, who's our president chapter there, has set up, our first meeting was last month, and we're gonna have another meeting next Wednesday. And I've been going to HLA for 10 years. So not seeing all those people, you know, I miss them and this and that. But then to see them last month and realize, oh, there's so-and-so, and to see all these people and realize how much I've missed them. So yeah, I love that aspect of it a lot. I have a comment about the captions. And it's separate from this. So do you want to come back to that later, or should I jump in and mention about
Let's do
the
it right now.
Okay.
I want to be sure that I get to Robert's questions about captions also. But go ahead, Michael.
Okay. I was surprised when I joined this meeting. When I got the invitation, I knew it was going to be via Zoom, and I didn't think there would be captions, and it's okay. And then when I joined, I thought, oh my goodness, and I don't, you know, for all of us who've been trying these different programs, Zoom has been the one that has been the most challenging to get captions for. And listening to you, I realize you're getting this through PowerPoint. Is that right? Is it
PowerPoint? Yes.
And I didn't realize that was an option. So that's one thing. The second thing, Char is doing a lot of research into this, and we're going to test it this weekend or at the beginning of next week. If any of you are familiar with the app InnoCaption, which translates phone calls into text, apparently there's a way for that to interact with Zoom.
Yes, I've heard that.
You've heard about that too?
I've heard about it, yeah.
And I didn't know about that. So I just wanted to bring up those two things about captions, because I had thought that Zoom would be a problem, and now this is the second meeting I'm attending with captions, and that's good. So let me pass the ball to whoever else wants to talk about captions.
Tony, go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering, Michael, is the captions that Zoom, that InnoCaption is providing, is it providing it for everybody? Is it on the screen, or is it individual?
No, it is for everybody. And I want to be cautious because I have seen it interact for everybody when I have meetings with people who work at InterCaption. I've been talking with them about other projects, so I see the captions. I haven't seen it work the way it would at this meeting, but Char tells me that it does. So the reason I'm saying I want to be careful is because I haven't seen it demonstrated outside of a meeting with InterCaption people. But from what she says, it does, it will work for everyone.
There's another app called Ava, that AVA. There you go. That also integrates into Zoom, but it's expensive. It's not paid, but those captions are pretty good also. It's like $150 a month. It's ridiculous. Otter can integrate into Zoom, but you have to have a paid Otter account, and I don't know how much that is. Tony, do you want to switch our shared screen and you can show them what Live Transcribe does?
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of my PowerPoint and Tony's gonna demonstrate Live Transcribe. So hang in here, everybody.
Okay, hold on here. But I also want to mention web captioner.
Yes.
So Katie, would you make some comments about that?
Yes. Web Captioner actually it's webcaptioner.com, captioner.com. You can do two things with it. You can open up a browser window underneath the Zoom window, and Web Captioner will caption for you what is being said in the Zoom window. Web Captioner has also come up with a way to integrate the Web Captioner captions within Zoom. If you go to webcaptioner.com, it will lead you through the steps of how to integrate the captions into a Zoom meeting so that everyone can see. So one, for Web Captioner, you can do it just for you with having the browser window being open under, with the Zoom window being on top of the browser, or you can integrate it into the Zoom window. It's very easy to do. You might want to play around with that. I could have done that today. It's got its problems, but it's better than nothing. Michael, you might want to check into that.
Katie.
Thank you. Thank you for the suggestion.
Robert, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, and Tony needs to be a part of this answer. When I was listening to the webinar with our President Bailey, I got captions on the screen that were so small that I could not read them, and it took all my energy to get to see, and so I didn't see the visual. And sometime during the meeting today, it came on that small, like I see it right now, very small, and I didn't know how to make it grow. And Tony, I think it was when you were presenting something at that meeting. Did you have any information about that?
There is a way. Okay, at the big meeting that was last Saturday, we actually had a live captioner doing the captions. So it was somebody doing CART. There's a setting under the closed caption on the window that lets you make the captions bigger or smaller, but they're never really, really big. But there is a way to change the size.
Thank you.
These PowerPoint captions that I was doing, I have them on their largest. Alan wanted me to mention, and you're so right, Michael, if you're going to look into webcaptioner.com, it'll only work on a Chrome browser. You have to be using Chrome. You can't use Safari or Firefox. You can only use Chrome. And you can't, I've tried using it on my iPad with a Chrome browser on the iPad, and it won't work there either. So it will only work on a Chrome browser on a laptop or a desktop. I don't know why.
This is coming through big.
How do you like these captions?
These are coming through large on the iPad.
Yes, on the iPad, they're very large.
Mm-hmm.
There is a way to adjust the size of them for you if you go up to view captions. But if you have the live transcribe app on your phone, you can also adjust the size of the captions that work for whatever you need. So if you were using your Android right now, you can see that my captions are matching what's showing up on the screen, because Tony is sharing her live transcribe. She has joined Zoom on her phone as well as her desktop, and now she is sharing the screen on her phone for us to see the captions.
If you're on a PC or a Mac, and if you see two little white lines between the captions and your videos, you can grab those two little white lines with your mouse and drag it left. And that will make live transcribe much smaller and your video pictures much larger.
You can't do that on an iPad though.
No, you can't do it on an iPad or on a phone.
Okay.
You have to be a PC or a iMac.
The reason that we didn't use live transcribe from the beginning today is that we had the PowerPoint, and you can't share documents or share another screen when you're using live transcribe because it's using the shared screen function. But once we discovered that we could have captions on PowerPoint, it kind of helped that. Well, we're at the end of our time, everybody. Yes, Michael, go.
I have a suggestion for a future meeting, and I don't want to take up this time. Can I contact you? I just looked to see the email you sent confirming this is a no reply. So can I don't have your email address.
Can you access the chat?
Can I access the chat? Yes. Okay, go ahead. You're going to enter it here?
There's my email.
Okay, couldn't be easier. Thanks, and I'll write you directly.
Katie,
Yes, Alan.
I also put in the chat a link to a PowerPoint presentation that I created on captioning using PowerPoint, if anybody's interested.
I also included 2 documents early on. One of them was guidance for face coverings. This is published by the California Department of Public Health. And specifically, the following individuals, I'm pulling this out, are exempt from wearing a face covering: persons who are hearing impaired or communicating with a person who is hearing impaired, where the ability to see the mouth is essential for communication. So I have provided that document in the chat box. You can download it. I've also provided a document. I don't know if you can see this.
No, it's breaking up.
Nope. This is about, this is about a speech transfer system with a built-in hearing loop. It's about advocacy. You know, when the pandemic first happened, I was just amazed at how fast all of the acrylic barriers went up. Not one of those barriers had microphones for better hearing. I know that there are many cashiers who can't hear what I'm saying. Everybody's wearing a mask. So this speech transfer system is, there you can kind of see a little bit. They are available, but you need to advocate for it. The best place to advocate for that is, first place is when you go into a bank. There is a station for people with mobile disabilities, wheelchairs. They should have that system available for people with hearing loss. In the grocery stores that I go to, there's always one aisle that is reserved for people with disabilities, presumably people with canes, wheelchairs. That aisle should be equipped with equipment for people with hearing loss. So if you can download that from the chat, if you could go into chat and click on the three dots and say save chat, it will download automatically to your computer when this session ends. So there's, at the bottom of the chat box, there is 3 little dots. I know if you're on an iPad, you're going to be, it's going to be difficult to see. I'm happy to email directly anybody that would like to have these documents.
Why don't we do that? We have everybody's emails from registration, correct?
My email is my first initial and my last name, tbariant@hearinglossca.org.
I'm typing it in for you.
I put it in the chat box, but if you can't access the chat box.
Tbariant.
You spelled it wrong, Tony. Tony, you spelled your name wrong.
I spelled it wrong? Oh, I did. Oh my goodness. Okay. Please, I twisted.
Let me do it again.
Put it in again, Katie.
Got it.
My first initial and my last name, Tony tbariant at hearinglossca.org. So Bariant is, the captions never get it right. And Tony is with an I, not a Y.
They never get that right.
Tbariant at what?
Norma, did you want to say something?
Tbariant at what? I'm sorry.
hearinglossca.org.
Hearing loss.
CA standing for California, not Canada.
Yeah, okay. At hearing loss, is that one word when you type it in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And stick the CA on the end of that. So hearing loss CA, all one word.
Okay. .org. Okay.
Captions are weird sometimes.
I don't know if everybody's aware, I didn't know this till Al got his cochlear implant, but if you like TED Talks, you can set your device for captioning, and they do the captioning when they do the thing, so it's like a movie, and it's not delayed or it's not all garbled up. It's very good. You can set it under, well, like on your phone or whatever. It's where you go for I don't call it disabilities. What do they call it? Accessibility.
I've just recently heard about the Pixel phone and all the things that it can do. And I'm hoping that, being president of HLAA California, and I'm also on the Deaf and Disabled Telecommunications Program. I'm chair of one of their committees. I'm hoping that maybe Google will give me a Pixel phone and I can play around with it. Keep your fingers crossed. I would love to. It apparently will caption anything. The new Pixel phone will caption phone calls, podcasts, YouTube videos, everything right on the phone. I want to see that. But I don't want to spend $500 on a phone.
Yeah, true.
I want to tell you, I'm an iPhone user. I use an iPhone. I got this really inexpensive Android, and that's what I use for live transcribe captions. I think I paid $60 for it, and I run it on Wi-Fi. I don't have to have it be a part of my cellular thing. So if you want to use live transcribe as your thing for Zoom, you can pick up a very inexpensive Android.
You can get it for less, for even as little as $40 on Amazon. And you do not need to subscribe to a cellular service. It'll work just using Wi-Fi. So, and it's great to take most places, but just be aware that you do need to have Wi-Fi. So when I go to the grocery store, I connect to the Wi-Fi in the store, and I'm able to use it.
I tried to do that at the hair salon, and it wouldn't connect with their Wi-Fi. I don't think they knew what they were doing. Okay, everybody. Any final thoughts?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we good?
There's going to be a next meeting. Do you want to give any information about that, Katie?
Meeting
Ready?
For what?
The next meeting?
We're going to have another meeting on, what is that date? The third Saturday of October.
October 10th.
Oh, that's a bad day for us.
Wait a minute.
Did anybody go to the meeting that was last Saturday with Barbara Kelly?
It's the 17th of October.
So Robert, HLAA California is going to do another national meeting in October. That was a lot of fun to do that. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. So we're going to do something on October 10th, and we're also.
I take it back. It's the 17th. The third Saturday is the 17th.
No, it's the second Saturday. Second Saturday. The national one is the second Saturday.
Today is the third Saturday of September.
But our national meeting is going to be on the second Saturday.
All right. Yes, I know, but I thought, okay.
This meeting is going to be on the third Saturday. This meeting is going to be on the third Saturday. We got it. So 2 meetings next.
This is Robert in Escondido. Did you want an answer to your question about the Barbara Kelly meeting?
Yes. Did you participate in that meeting?
Yeah, I participated in that meeting. It was actually very good. There were some very salient topics brought up. in that meeting about communication and the face mask and stuff. It was actually very good. I also attended the meeting with the FCC.
Yes,
So
that
I'm
was a
finding the national meetings to be very good and informative and helpful.
good. Well, HLAA California, that's us. We did the last meeting and we're going to do the next one. So I'm excited about that. We have a really active chapter leader committee and a virtual meeting committee, and we're trying to gather all of our California people together. All right, people. We're done?
Okay, thank you.
It's good to see
Thank you very much. This was wonderful.
Good, I'm glad. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.